All right. So I think we still basically have the same initiative order as last time, from what I remember. Is uh, last time we had this large dust cloud from the two bombs being dropped. Three armored vehicles coming in from the north. We have 8 guys running away, or what was a squad of 8 guys, basically an unknown number of people running away, and it looks like they disposed of some of the bodies.
Before we had ended on my last turn, did I call in to the Australians yet?
I don't.
I'm not saving that for my next turn.
Yeah, I don't remember you having done that yet, but yeah, you could easily do so. But yeah, you guys seem to have the upper hand at this point in the battle, and I believe right now would be Simo's turn, but you guys can take a second to look through stuff and see if you how you want to go about this.
I believe I was just going to continue to tail these guys.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think I remember you were just going to keep following them. Keep them.
Yeah, and maybe see if I could jump them if these guys swung down this way.
Alright, yeah, I was tabbed out for a split second there. Yeah, you were one to basically pursue the guys that are running?
Yeah, I'm going to follow them, and if these guys up here swing down to try to pick them up in the APCs, I want to jump them.
Alright. Yeah, you can run. Well, normally you can run like 20 meters, but I think the visibility and all of the rubble lying everywhere would probably slow you down a bit. So you'd probably, if you spent a whole turn, you'd probably only be able to move 10 meters or so. But you can, pursue them as fast as you can. Yeah, sorry, I was doing organizing his stuff, moving all that around. Alright, so yeah, you can run after them. They have a little bit of a head start because they basically, they spent like 2 or 3 turns, I think. They spent like a turn moving around bodies, and then a turn leaving a demolition charge, and then another turn running. So you're probably like at least a turn and a half or so behind them, but you can sort of keep up so far. And so now we'll go for the APCs. And Pete, do you want to do anything at this point?
Let me check and make sure the sniper rifle's reloaded. Because it'd be pretty embarrassing if it's not reloaded, and I have to waste another turn.
Yeah.
It says it's reloaded, so I guess I'll just hold off on doing anything. Well,
Actually, if you have the ammo readied, you don't have to spend a turn to reload. You can do it as like a free action.
how much can I ready?
I'm not sure right now. Let me see if they happen to have anything on this. don't see anything about readying the ammo for the reload action. It requires a main action to reload a readied magazine or energy cartridge. And I think there's a perk where you can reload a sniper rifle faster, but yeah, I don't think that applies in this case.
I guess I'll just hold off and. Can you? I don't remember. Can you hold actions to shoot?
Yeah, let me double check. Yeah, they have hold action on page 55 on the PDF. It's a little strange. You basically spend a move action, and you can delay the rest of your actions until later in the round. Is I think what it says here. Yeah, I thought to double check because I remembered when we were looking at hold actions, they do it a little bit different in this system. Because I think back then I thought what they were trying to say is you could spend a move action and then you could make an additional main action that interrupts later. But I actually think now that I read it, I guess more carefully, it's like you don't take a main action and then you use your move action to decide to take your main action later, I think. Or an on-turn action, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I'll just hold action to shoot in case the vehicles get in range. Oh, I should contact the, completely forgot, contact the Australians and tell them, that potentially some of their people of interest are heading south on foot from the town.
All right. Yeah, you can beam that information over to them. Yeah, it'll probably take them a while to get out here, but yeah, you can do it. And yeah, I'm pretty sure we talked about contacting him several times, but I think now is the first time you'll beam over to him. So I guess we'll just go with that. Alright, so let me see. I'm going to try and find out if there is a way to do like a pursuit thing, like if you're chasing someone. Alright, so I think what we'll do now, if, Simu, you can, by this turn, I think, let me check, just to be sure. Yeah, it'll still probably take you a bit to get out of the fog, but you can basically run alongside the road after these guys. Alright, and then the trucks are going to move a little bit more. And what was the range on your rifle, Pete?
The range on whose rifle?
The rifle you had. You were wanting to hold until the...
It is 1,000. Over 1,000 has a penalty. Over 2,000 is, I think, just a...
Alright.
Yeah, for a Star Wars sniper rifle, those things can hit shit up to over 10 kilometers away.
Yeah, I was pretty, I did a deep dive into, fluff versus movies in Star Wars. And there are people that'll joke about how, like, World War II rifles were more effective than anything they have in the movies. But if you read the books, or look into, like, the video game stats and all that, It's like completely the opposite, where they have pistols that do the kind of damage you expect from like naval guns and stuff like that. Alright, yeah. So I just pulling up the page in case I need any vehicle armor stuff. So yeah, your sniper can shoot up to I think you said 2 kilometers, and so they're technically in range. You just probably would be at a penalty.
Yeah, well, I was in the ready position aiming at the town, though, so I would have to break that to shoot at them now, I think.
Yeah, probably. Alright. I'm just gonna, the guys in front of Simo are still running away, so I'll just move Simo another 10 meters forward, I think. Alright, so I think this time around, Pete is still looking for, waiting for the convoy to come down the road. And Simo, I guess we could say that you're getting towards the edge of the dust cloud, so you might be able to see a little bit better. And so I'll adjust this number. You can see you can see 4 people running in front of you.
About how far away are they?
Looks to be about 200 meters.
And be shooting with a penalty on top of being in the dust, so keep pursuing.
Right.
Rifle, but it's short range.
Yep, and so Pete notices this as well. The convoy is, rather than continuing down the main road, they're actually pulling into this dirt road and heading north again. Everyone else pretty much keeps moving in the same direction. Alright, back to Pete. Anything you want to do at this point?
Everyone's currently outside of my range, so I guess I'll just use the drone.
Hey, you can shoot at these guys if you want.
I'd have to break my position, though.
Oh.
I mean, I lose the +2, but I mean, I don't know where they're going. Because right now it seems like they're going away from us, which makes them less of a problem.
Sure.
But we don't know what they're doing, so that could be a problem. It's like I could shoot at them, but if they turn around, it'd be like kicking the hornet's nest. But I don't like that they're just leaving. The ones that were up where those came from, those were all people that had fresh scars, right?
The people in the convoy?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The ones we saw in the town.
Yeah, those guys, they looked like new recruits. Those three armored vehicles. They look like a military surplus. They don't look like they were part of the colony, so they're probably brought here by guys who did the raid. And but they're basically troop carriers with light machine guns mounted on top, and very they don't have a lot of bells and whistles on them. They're pretty simple.
The only thing I can think of, because I don't think they would just abandon what we assume to be their leadership. But if they are new recruits,
if they're new recruits, they might not be as indoctrinated into the cause. So shit's went wrong, so they're running the fuck away.
I guess we could let them go, and then in the future, if we ever needed to kill time, we could go hunt them. It's not like it's going to be hard to find people with scars on their face.
My main concern right now is getting these guys, since they're the pros. So the Destroyans actually want. Or would like to have, I should say.
I guess so. I kind of want to follow them with the drone just to make sure we know what the vehicles are doing. I'm using the drone to follow the convoy for a little bit.
All right. Yeah, so I think what we could do here, since this seems to be, it'll just kind of continue like this for a ton more turns. What we could do is Pete could follow, use the drone to follow the convoy, and Simo could basically test physical, or actually this would probably be an exert test rather than a save. So he could do an exert test against the squad to see if he can close the distance to be a little bit more in his favor. So we could do that, I think, to resolve this.
Yeah, because I only want to follow them a little bit just to make sure they're not trying to do something sneaky. And then I'd probably just use the drone once I know they're not going to be an immediate threat to us. Use it to just follow the group of 4 so they don't potentially sneak away.
All right. Yeah. So, do you want to do anything in particular, Simo, or are you interested in closing the distance a bit?
Yeah, I want to try to close the distance.
All right. All 4 of those guys are, mildly or severely wounded, so they'll be at a penalty as well to an exert.
Are there any modifiers for me? So I'm still kind of in the smoke.
I don't think so. You're at the very edge. Yeah, you're at the very edge of the smoke, and most of this test will take place outside anyway. Alright, let me see. Yeah, so the over the course of the next maybe 10 minutes or so, you're basically keeping even pace. So I'll move you both, I guess this would be 200 meters forward, I think. Just going with the default game movement for the time being until I can think of something better.
One that didn't have the helmet on, is he still alive?
Yeah, actually, let's see. Yeah, it's nighttime when all this is happening, if I remember correctly. I'm pretty sure it's night, because I remember you guys were chilling out for quite a while after you landed. So it's kind of hard to make them out, but you can see that there's a figure not wearing a helmet in the group of 4 that are running. And the distance is, roughly 220 meters between the two of you. Let's see.
I'm going to try to take a shot at him. It doesn't really have a called system, but I'm going to try to aim for his leg to subdue him and not outright kill him.
Yeah, I actually, it hurts me inside because I really like called shot systems, but it's very difficult for me it's very difficult to do those in an armor class system because armor class is very abstract. But yeah, you can take a shot. Oh, nice. All right. Yeah, you actually you see him, stumble and fall down. You seem to have gotten a nice hit on him, and the other three, they basically normally you'd lose a little bit of distance by stopping to take some shots at them, but their group stops as well, so you maintain your 220 meter distance, and one of them's on the ground now, the one without the helmet.
I have prone because I think that's a free action, an instant action or something, on turn action.
Yep, I was just looking it up as well. Yeah, it looks like you can do that.
So I'm going to go prone.
Second, I'm just plugging something in that I forgot to make for these guys to roll. Alright, so they'll probably be at a -2 to hit you, shooting at a distant prone foe. And so, they're going to take a shot at you with their rifles. Oh my god. Alright. Let's see. I'm going to look at what that I can't remember what it's called, the soak damage ability you have, see if that's refreshed yet, because that might come in handy. Well, actually, you may not. I don't even think you may. I may just be misremembering, because I think you used it on like the second fight that you guys were in. I can't remember if you've even used it in this fight.
I don't think I used it in this one.
All right, that works then.
I was going to say, I think the last time he used it was when we were taking the base and he was up on the mountaintop sniping.
Alright, so yeah, 2 of them hit you, and if that's the case, I think you can basically remove one of the hits that you take.
Yeah, I'm going to remove the 14 damage one and take the 8.
Alright. I just imagined, in the middle of this fight, these guys are shooting at each other, and then Pete just basically wrecks like one of those Amazon drones into the guy's face to distract him.
How cheap are drones? Because we could attach demo charges to them and just kamikaze.
Well, the primitive drone, which is what I got, is pretty cheap, and it's got one attachment thing. Basically, if you want to use it like as a kamikaze bomber, it would be fairly cheap to do.
Yeah, I think if you're fighting people that basically have no electronic warfare capability, there's basically no reason to not use drones, as far as I can tell.
I want to go for combat drones. They get expensive.
But yeah, so they take those 3 shots, and then Simo is on the ground, and you get to go again if you want.
Did the convoy move at all?
Oh yeah. The little running thing we did with the exert was like 10 minutes or so, like 10 rounds. and so the convoy is probably wrong tool. They're probably heading basically at the very edge of the map right now.
Say that probably missed.
Alright, I'm gonna just... Once I know that they're basically leaving, I'm just gonna take the drone south to give him a better idea of where everyone is.
Yeah.
Give me just a second, I gotta let the dog out. Alright, I'm back.
Alright. Yeah, so you take a shot, and, with the way armor bonus works in this game, I suppose what this would mean is you hit, but his armor manages to resist the sheer rifle. And so at that point, their turn's going to come back around. One of them is going to basically drop prone and take another shot at you, and the other two are going to tend to the guy who's on the ground. And I'm just making a notepad for ammo because, God forbid this goes another 10 rounds, but might as well keep track of it anyway.
Yeah, I've been taken away at mine.
That was going on. Did I hear back from the Australians at all?
Yeah. So you sent them like basic rundown of the situation on the ground, and that was maybe 10 minutes ago. And you get an acknowledgement, but you haven't heard anything immediately. You get a verification that they've received the info, basically.
Alright, I guess I'll pack things up here as far as I can, and I'll start heading south along the ridge to try and get in range.
Alright. Yeah, so the other two, in fact, let me just roll for that. Yeah, so the other two guys, they're working on the guy on the ground, and then that other guy's sort of sending auto rifle shots over your head, and then it's your turn again, Simo.
Alright, I'm going to return fire at him.
Alright, he's prone as well, so that'll be a -2.
Alright.
Yep, more glancing blows off of him, unfortunately. Alright, he's going to take another shot at a -2 for your prone bonus, and yeah. Yep, no luck on that one. And the other two guys, they, you can't see how well the medical treatment's been going, but they're basically going to pick up the body on the ground and start moving it while the other guy, keeps shooting at you. And you get to go again.
Alright, I'm going to switch my aim to one of the guys carrying the boss man.
How many turns would it take for me to head south down the side to where my cursor is pointing at?
I don't think I could see the cursor there.
I'd be moving to right here.
Okay. It's right there. Yeah, so with that terrain, you're basically moving. It would take. Let's see. Yeah, you can move. You can if you spend a whole turn moving, you can move 10 meters through light jungle, and that's so that'd basically take 47 rounds. It'd take quite a while for you to get down there, unfortunately.
So basically, by the time I get down there, they're gonna have moved anyway.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if you have nothing else to do, then you could start hiking anyway. I have a couple of timers going on in the background, so just so you know, from an out-of-game perspective. Sometimes this kind of stuff, the time scale might vary. You know, like we were going turn by turn before, but every now and then we might have to fast forward a little bit. And if you're hiking, then that'll matter, I guess.
I guess since I can't really make up ground through the jungle compared to them out in the open, I guess I'll just stay where I am and get as much information with the drone as I can.
All right. And I think at this point, the big dust cloud in the middle of the city, it's still very much visible, but the dust is beginning to settle just a little bit. You know, now that we're going on basically 10-15 minutes. And you can see a couple of people sort of venturing out of these buildings and moving in between. Let me, I'll just put a tag to represent them for now. And these guys aren't carrying weapons or anything, and it looks like they're sort of breaking out of some of these houses. So that's what you can make out at that point, Pete. And let's see. So Simo, yeah, I think you were the one you just shot, and you were shooting one of the guys carrying the body.
Yeah.
All right.
Not invest in smoke grenades.
Alright, oh, that guy's down.
You never think about shit you need until you need it.
Yeah, that's how it goes. Yep, so that guy, he goes down, and the, body drops as the other guy, hasn't had time to react yet. And the other rifleman is going to take another shot. All right. So where does that put you, as far as you can tell?
I'm down to 5.
All right, cool. And I think, the guy holding the body is, I don't think he's going to be able to do anything for this round. And so I guess, and the other rifleman is taking a shot at you, so I guess you get to go again. Do you want to take another shot at him, or are you looking through other stuff?
I'm going to shoot at the one that's shooting at me, see if I can finish him off. Damn it.
No dice, unfortunately. Alright, and that's a miss, I assume.
And I'll return fire. I'm going to have to single shot it this time. Because I only got one shot left.
Nice. Yep, he drops dead.
Last guy doing, is he still trying to carry the boss, or is he...
I think this is a great time for him to make a morale check.
Got to reload anyway, so I'm just going to holler out for him to surrender.
Yeah,
They're fanatical fuckers, I'll give them that.
Yeah. Yeah, so he actually doesn't have a main gun on him at the moment. He seems to have been separated from that at some point, but he does draw a sidearm and tries to take a shot at you with that. Let me see if he's even in range first before I do that. Yeah, he'll just be at a penalty. Oh wow, he's still got it. Is that it?
Fortunately, he needs a 17 to hit me.
Oh, nice. So that was a close hit, or a close. Yeah, your armor was perfectly fitted for that one. All right. Yeah. So that's his turn. So you get to shoot at him, or I guess you'll have to reload or use another.
I gotta reload.
Yep.
I gotta reload this turn.
All right. So he's gonna take another shot with his semi-auto pistol. Oof.
Ooh, he on that one too. Alright, I'm reloaded, so I am returning fire.
Alright, unfortunately not enough to hit him on that one. Yep, and he misses. Yep, misses well. This is quickly becoming a funny gif. Oh, I think it rolled twice for me. I got a bit of lag there, so it'd just be the first one. Not that the second one would do anything anyway.
Returning fire.
Yep, still not good enough, unfortunately. Yep, no hit there.
This one's gonna have to be single shot.
Maybe I should have started moving.
Yeah, I'm just
imagining. This is the most anticlimactic last stand ever.
Yeah.
Out of curiosity, when you're prone, can you use your movement to roll sideways?
I don't see why not. It'd probably be like a 5-meter movement or something like that.
You could slowly barrel roll your way over to cover.
I actually thought about suggesting that earlier, but I think the cover is something like 50 meters away or something like that. This map scale is...
well, at this rate, I might just make it there.
Yeah, I mean...
Like I said, if I knew it was going to go on like this, I would have started moving, because then I could have started taking shots.
Alright, yeah, so he's gonna return fire, I guess. And I'm glad I've been keeping track of his pistol ammo, because at this rate, he might actually have to reload, and it might actually matter.
Fuck it. I'm going to start moving down the hill.
Alright, no hit.
I've got to reload this turn.
Alright, he takes another shot. Yep, no hit on that one either.
Alright, firing back. God damn it. These I was pulling off earlier.
Yep, no hit.
God.
Alright, and he drops. Yeah, he only had 5 HP after being double ragdolled by the explosions.
Alright, I'm going to get up, reload as I walk over there.
Alright.
If any of them are salvageable.
Yeah, a lot of them are missing their gear, and all of their armor is pretty severely damaged. But you can probably get a list of stuff that can be, fixed or maybe still in decent condition. There are
any of them in shape to be stabilized?
Yeah, so the guy unconscious on the ground, you can actually see where his armor has been torn open in places. So, for example, he's missing like all of his armor from the left knee down is just completely gone, and it looks like it was burnt away or maybe blasted away in one of the explosions. But he has like a brand new, like unscathed leg underneath it. It's like that with a lot of his other injuries, but it seems that he's currently unconscious, and the last shot that hit him is still appearing. It ripped through his armor, and it seems to have wounded him.
I'm gonna hog time. Wound as best I can.
Yep.
I'm going to radio back to a partner that they're neutralized, and I've got one survivor, the main VIP.
Alright, I'm gonna tell them we've got hostages free up in the mountains, and it seems some in town are making their way out. So I'm gonna head to the helicopter. I'm gonna start making my way to the helicopter, and then I'll make my way over to them in it. Then I guess as I'm on my way towards the helicopter, I'll use the radio to try to contact anyone in town, see if I get a response.
Yeah, you don't get any, there seems to be active devices in the area, the equivalent of like picking up local Wi-Fi, but it's all secured and you don't get any human response. It's also, the guys you see on the ground are mostly stripped down to basically like bare clothing. They're not like wearing work clothes or anything like that. It looks like they just escaped, being tied up and held prisoner in some of these buildings.
Alright, I guess after I get no response, I'll send another message to the Australians telling them that, as far as we can tell, the town is liberated, hostages are being freed, and we have one potential person of interest in captivity, but they're pretty wounded. I'm also going to tell them that some of the Rygal escaped into the hills, and we saw 3 armored vehicles leave heading north.
All right. Yeah, you get another acknowledgement, and then a little bit after that, you get it's a voice message from Vitaly Starkov, who's he's the flight captain for the province that you've been in for this, basically the whole campaign so far, and he just has a little voice comm that says, thank you for the information. It'll be very useful to our operations in the area as they continue. We believe you've neutralized the threat in the area. They don't appear to be preparing any response in the near future. And, we thank you for your help.
I'm going to send another back asking what they want us to do with the potential person of interest.
Yeah, so, he asks, you basically ask for data on the person of interest, like biometrics or photo or something like that, so you can send that over. At this point, we can actually just move all you guys into the town or anywhere else that you want to be while you're conducting this, if you want. Unless you just want to do it up there on top of the mountain.
I mean, I'm assuming I was just rating them as I walked. Then as I walked towards the helicopter, if I ran into the group of people up in the mountains, I was going to tell them that I meant them no harm. I'm part of the team that freed them, and that it was safe to head back into town. Then I was just going to hop in the helicopter and head down to Simo's location.
All right.
And once I've got this guy stabilized, I'm just going to carry him back to town. More likely just drag him back to town. Just bring the helicopter whenever he gets to it.
All right. So yeah, you Pete picks up the helicopter, and then you're gonna basically land it in in a clear space in the town somewhere. Now you could probably do this right now if you wanted to. It'd probably be, if you waited till morning, it'd basically be like a trivial thing to land the helicopter in the town. Otherwise, if you wanted to do it, during the night, it might be a skill check or something to land a helicopter on a improvised pad at night. So you could do either if you want. Wait a little while and make it easier.
How long did this last?
This whole engagement, let me see. It lasted less than 20 minutes. And let me see the calendar if I can figure out exactly when all this went down. Yeah, so I guess today, the next dawn will be the 7th. It took you, I think it was 8 hours to fly out here. And then you spent another 8 hours in the woods. So let's see.
Once he's back in town, can I just ask him to light up an area for me to land the helicopter?
Oh, yeah, sorry, I was just doing this. If you left with a helicopter at dawn, you have those 2 8-hour intervals. So this fight probably began at around 11 p.m. and it has, by the time it's ended and you're gathered in town, it's probably around midnight. And as far as the lighting thing, they don't have any landing pad in the city, and their generators are all currently offline, and so it'd be difficult to do that sort of thing. Yeah, it was something that occurred to me mainly. I mean, the situation that comes to my mind with this right now, weirdly enough, is I think when they were doing the mission to kill Bin Laden in real life, the Special Forces guys actually wrecked a helicopter trying to land it. That was a different situation, obviously. You wouldn't be pressed for time like they were, but it'd still be, I think, a lot more difficult than, it'd be outside of the parameters of normal helicopter training, I think. But yeah. So I guess you could say the information you got to go on right now is the Australians. They didn't respond to any of the information as you gave it right away, but they gave you the go ahead to intervene, and then they said that they are not, as far as they can tell, they aren't expecting any retribution. There's no regiment in reserve to retake the area or anything like that. and now you have the opportunity where you can try landing the helicopter right now, and if you feel like you're pressed for time, or you can wait till morning. And if you wait till morning, you could do any other number of things until that time. So
I'd just say wait till morning, or not press for time, so why risk it?
Yeah. I mean, plus I've got the keys and everything required for the helicopter, so if anyone for some reason comes across it, it's not like they can take, unless hotwiring a helicopter is a thing, in which case I'm going to be sad.
no, I think in this case it would make sense that the helicopter would be locked up. You come back to the clearing in the jungle, and the helicopter is on cinder blocks. But yeah, the night thing will be a great detriment and a great advantage in the future, and piloting difficulties is definitely one aspect of that. But yeah, I think that'll end the combat officially, and I'll go ahead and mark the 7th day on the calendar that you've spent out in this homesteader village. All right. And so you basically mentioned earlier, you explained to the villagers that you were here to drive off the Rygal who were occupying the area, and they seem like they're exploring the village, because most of the stuff was looted, but also things were moved around a while, so some of them are looking to get the generators back online and seeing where the occupiers put all the all the biofuel and stuff they had saved up. So they're trying to get stuff back into working order. So that's kind of what's going on in the background. Is there anything you guys want to do while you're waiting until morning?
And can you believe those militia bastards blew up half your town?
Yeah, they. If you bring that topic up, they're a little. They're sort of. Most of them have basically had the violence beaten out of them already, but they're basically, like they have no idea. Like, this came out of nowhere for them. They had some separatist groups, some people who lived in the town who were associated with them and did some trading on the side, and they kind of, didn't really think too much about it. And then basically a huge horde of people just came out of the woods one day and took over the town, and they have no idea why.
They just started throwing around demo charges like it was nothing.
Yep. But is there anything else anything you guys want to do other than that while you wait? I mean, you can basically just chill until morning comes, and then look into what type of stuff you can extract from this situation. And I'm trying to make sure that I'm not missing anything either while I'm thinking about this.
With how far the helicopter is from town, I might just camp out up here till daylight, instead of having to go down the mountain into town. Then the next day we'll come back all the way up here to get to the helicopter.
They put and babysit my captive.
All right, yeah. So, sorry, the last thing that Pete said. What were you wanted to do again?
I'm probably just gonna camp out up here with the helicopter till it's light enough out for me to safely land it, instead of having to walk all the way down into town, then back up.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah, and once you get like you can get higher like piloting skills because landing in a situation like this would probably be like, I mean, it probably would be like a -2. Bad weather might make it even worse, but just keep in mind that in the future, you can also use this in to your advantage to some extent. Like, I mean, one thing that comes to mind is there was a battle in real life where a bunch of paratroopers were going to land, and I think it was Erwin Rommel basically flooded the entire field so that they would all land in 8-foot deep water. You can make if you make the enemy having to land in water or land at night, you can they'll have to deal with those penalties as well. But yeah, let's see. Yeah, so before morning comes, basically another 4 or 5 hours goes by, and you get another call from Starkov. And he says he has a transport on the way, and currently he's monitoring you through a surveillance craft, and he's planning to pay the settlement a visit. Let's see.
I'll just. So did Simo get that too, or was that just me who picked that up?
Yeah. It probably would go. It probably would go to Pete just because that was the the same frequency, unless Simo is dialed into the same thing.
All right.
Is our captive awake yet, or is he still out cold?
Since our Zara, it's our lawyer, isn't it?
Oh yeah, Zara is the attorney that you hired earlier.
I'll just radio Simo and let him know that we have a Australian transport inbound for the person of interest.
All right. Yeah.
And speaking of the person of interest, is he awake yet?
Yeah, he doesn't appear to be awake. You can, if you want, you can roll, let's see, some type of medicine if you want to try and examine him. But he doesn't appear to be awake. Probably be intelligence plus heal if you wanted to try and examine him.
My intelligence is only 9, but I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, you're not really sure exactly what's wrong with him, but yeah, he doesn't seem to be bleeding out at least, but he is out cold. But yeah, so after about 30 minutes or so after Pete received the message from Starkov, a large, like a heavy lander type of it's like a VTOL craft that you can load large vehicles or several small, like lighter vehicles into the back of, and that lands just up the road from the settlement. Probably does a couple of flybys to find a good landing spot before it lands there. All right, and
I'll radio them that I'm down at the other end of the town, the HVT.
Yeah, they'll come walking out. Most of them, they're dressed in flight uniforms, lightly armored, and they just have sidearms on them. But it's Starkov, and it looks to be what would it be? Basically, like 8. I guess bodyguards might be what they would be in this case, but they're kind of dressed more like technicians. And they come out of the craft and start and take a walk through town towards your location. All right, so give me just a moment here. All right. So yeah, you just want to, Simo, you just want to present the prisoner to him, basically.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, Starkov, he hangs out in front of the building until he greets you pretty much the same as before. Has a sort of a hearty grin and a cigar, and then he has one of his techs take a snapshot of with his data slab of the guy's face, and they take some fingerprints and stuff like that. They basically just collect all the biometrics needed to match up with the dossier, and he basically just makes small talk with you until that point. And he just says, all these small outlander towns are they're out here on their own, sort of to harvest whatever resources they have out here, but this kind of stuff happens all the time, and he's he's convinced that this particular case must be different because the way the media on the planet sort of picked it up a lot earlier leads them to believe that somebody higher up must have tipped off whoever broadcast for this sort of thing. But he's grateful that someone on the ground was able to come out here and work on the case unofficially. And after they finish collecting the biometrics, he sort of eyes it over and says, yes, we've been tracking this individual for some time. He's the locals in his area call him Ertseed. He's the son of a noble in Catalia named Quirebert. And I'll just put this into... should I put this, actually? Yeah, I guess I'll just put these under factions for now. Okay. Yeah, I realize now I should have redone the factions thing before this, but I just went ahead and put these two guys into the factions list to under Catalia, just to keep track of them for now. But the guy that you are looking at right now, Erdseed, is he's basically a noble son, and the noble, his father is runs a province, and over in Catalia, and he's basically known as the Rat of Catalia. And another sort of two-faced, you can look at the operation from two angles. Ostensibly, he basically offers asylum to political refugees, and mainly, during the last big war, there were a lot of countries that were basically made non-existent, and all of the governments went into exile in his province, and so he sort of. Some people see this as like a act of kindness on his part, and he's able to maintain an industry from some of the people who ran the old industrial sectors of those governments that are now in exile. So he made a little bit of he sort of boosted his own holdings with that. The rumors are that in addition to the good kind of political refugees he also harbors people who stage coups, and he also harbors mercenaries who try to destabilize governments and pirates and bandits and everything else you can imagine. And so that's kind of the information that Starkov imparts upon you with this, as he's sort of going over the dossier.
Any of these malicious guys got bounties on them?
He says, no, these, there's no official bounty on these. They, and besides, it would have to be a private bounty, and these look like brand new recruits. As for the older guys, I don't recognize any of these are probably bodyguards that were assigned to this guy for this mission in particular. So no, I don't think anybody has put out a bounty, and there's no state bounties on them.
Not even on Earthseed?
Not that I know of. You might be able to find somebody. There are plenty of people who probably want Earthseed dead. However, let me see here. He says, yeah, you are free to keep him as a prisoner if you want. I'm content with just having proof that he was involved in this for my own purposes. I can't offer you... I could probably offer you... let me actually see here. Yeah, he says, I could offer you 12,000 credits for him. You might be able to get a lot more if you found a private bounty. However, if you do turn him over to me, then I could offer to... what would be the term here? Basically, patch you into our aerial battle net, if you wish.
Sounds good to me.
I was going to say, that sounds like a pretty good investment.
All right. Oh man, I'm just wrestling with the formatting of the handouts here, but basically, I'm just writing out the way you get favor with different contacts here, and all this. Once I have time to sit down and format this properly, it'll be a lot easier to read. But basically, you've if you turn them over, you'll get an additional 2 favor. That'll bring you up to 5 favor. And then I was going to design, this isn't a hard system. Like, you could ask him for something the way you would ask a normal person. But I was going to give, 5 things he can do as examples. And so, you could basically organize a quick drop of supplies. Something that would be anything from ammo, food, survival gear, or even some type of weapon, though it would be of Australian type weapon, of course, so you wouldn't be able to ask for like a railgun necessarily or anything like that. It would be like standard combat rifles, pistols, that kind of thing. You could also ask for different types of airstrikes. You could ask for a gunship strike or a fighter bomber strike, that kind of thing. Basically, you'd be able to take advantage of Australian air superiority for a limited amount of time, as long as you're not doing anything that would put the Australians at war with someone or anything crazy like that.
This is basically kind of like in Mercenaries, where you can call in faction-specific support, like airdrops and airstrikes and stuff like that. Yeah.
The other thing, the way you'd be communicating with him is he would basically patch into your data slab. It'd be kind of like a maybe you could think of it as like an intelligence police scanner. And so if you're in a situation like this, say you're in this town and it's been occupied and you've just liberated the town, and those 3 trucks ran away, if the Australians, the Australians don't have perfect intelligence, of course, but if their intelligence were able to, then they could warn you that they're actually going to get reinforcements and there are 16 trucks en route or something like that. So that's the other sort of passive advantage that this would give.
And it works both ways too. Since you said their intelligence isn't perfect, we can, call in and say, hey, there's 3 militia armored vehicles moving in so and so direction.
Yeah.
I think this turned out pretty damn good. I mean, even though there's not that relatively that much credits in it for us, favor and notoriety is still important for a fledgling mercenary company.
I was going to say, if we ever run into this group again and they're heavily fortified somewhere, the ability to go, hey, we need a strike on this coordinates. Can you help us out? And then just have a plane just bomb that area. Can't quite put a price on that, right?
Yep. All right. Yeah. So you can turn them over, and I'll say, in fact, let's see. Yeah, let me roll for something real quick. Yeah, and then Starkov also mentions Erdseed and most of his family are known MES users. There are many talented people like that in Catalia, and so he's we'll be putting him under strict watch. As he mentions that as well, the doctors sort of do an examination of him, and it looks like he's been overstrained in the combat, so he'll probably be in a coma for a few more days, and they'll have to keep a close eye on him because they don't know how well he's trained, and there are certain MES like people that have MES to a very specific condition. If they go out of control, it can basically reach the level of a natural disaster if left unchecked. So yeah, but they say he seems to be mostly contained for now. He just used too many of his abilities at once.
What happens when somebody starts throwing demolition charges at you?
No, as far as everyone knows, that was them that did the demolition charge.
Yep.
There's no need for anyone to know that was you. He's done enough bad shit, it's probably pretty believable that they would have done something like that.
Yeah, probably. But yeah, so you guys feel good about the Starkov deal then?
Yeah.
Alright. Yeah, I went ahead and wrote that down in the contact sheet, so you got 5 favor, and then eventually I'll write out some examples of stuff. But a strafing, just to give an idea, you have 5 points, and strafing an area would probably, be 1 or 2 points. 2 points for like sustained strafing, I guess. But yeah, so the let's see. Yeah, Starkov, he takes away the prisoner and, bids you farewell. And if there's no other business, then everyone loads up and they take off again. Yep, as for the people that are still around in the village, they also mention there are some other people that have residence and properties out here who will probably be returning. They were either away in other villages or they were in town selling off some of the produce made here. Let's see. Yeah, they don't have a whole lot of money on them, but they can at least offer you around 20,000 credits worth of organic components. And as for the components are mostly dried mushrooms, which are used in some type of biochemistry.
So since they're dried, if we don't sell them right away, they'll still be good, right?
Yep. They some of the silos they had out there, They're weather controlled and everything like that, but you can basically put them in storage and they'll last for basically indefinitely with good storage and for a few years in bad storage.
Before the Vestroians leave, is there a medic among them? I just remembered I'm down to 5 hit points. I could use some healing.
Yep. Yeah, there were some medics working on the prisoner. Let me see what medicine do. Maybe it'll be in equipment. Let me check there. Strange. I don't know if I'm just not finding it, but it looks like medicine is only normally used on downed people for some reason. I'll have to scour the book for this if I don't find anything, because like even D&D has like health potions and all that stuff. So, oh, you know what? I actually a long time ago, back the last time we were playing Stars Without Number, I ran into people online who had this problem because the game assumes that you have like a biopsionic person in the party, and people were saying if you don't go that route, you need to add in some other medic items into the game if you don't have biopsionics. So I think I may have to do that. For the time being, though, let me see here. Yeah, I'll just roll with this for now. Yeah, so the medics, they look at your wounds, Simo, but there's not too much they can, of the ones that still need treated. There's not too much they can do with the stuff they have on hand. So you get 1 hit point back. Yeah, it seems with this game being based off of D&D and all, it also has that D&D phenomenon of where you get shot 9 times with a crossbow, and then you have to sleep off the damage. At any rate, so
I guess we could do like some kind of back to thing like Star Wars does.
Yeah, I'd have to check that out. It actually, the system is simple enough that it would be pretty easy to have non-psionic medical treatment. It's just weird that they don't have it in the game already.
This was a benefit to playing an AI. All I had to do was just use my fix skill, and boom, I was back to normal.
Yeah.
I don't need no healer. Just need spare parts and a good fix roll.
Yep. That looking all that up threw me off, though. Was there anything else, anything that I missed that you guys were wanting to do before Starkov takes off?
Nope.
Alright, cool. Yeah, so he's
just wish him well, and they're doing business with you.
Nice. Yeah, and so, your data slabs are now patched into the Australian battle net for this province. And, you have... it's a pretty large load of gear, this 20,000 credits of organic components. But you might be able... It'd probably take you more than one trip with your helicopter. And you wouldn't be able to fit it in the helicopter. It would basically be like crates, tied to the bottom. But you could, a day's labor, you could move it somewhere if you wanted, or rent a truck. All right.
I mean, we're already gonna be taking one load with us back, so might as well just fly back and pick up the rest.
All right. So now that this is, we've gotten to this point. So you've still have that Denny Vort thing to look into. You still have this homesteader situation that you can go any number of directions from here. The villagers themselves, they're not really, they haven't decided what they're going to do from here yet. Whether they're going to move to another location or fortify this one if they want to stay here. And what else do you have going? Oh yeah, you still have that base, that land that you have, the go-ahead to build on if you wanted.
It might be worth it to reinforce our base. Shore up any weak points. Maybe even level some of the surrounding areas so people can't take advantage of terrain like we did, just in case.
Yeah, basically, what I was wanting to do is just call it an island, but I guess it is kind of an island since it's surrounded by water on all sides. But basically, the patch of land our base is on, what I wanted to do was completely clear cut it, remove all trees and stuff, and then level it out, except for that one hill. Build a watchtower up there on top of it. Yeah, like all this greenery, completely clear cut it, and then these hills here, and this hill, these hills, level it out, leave this hill here alone, but build a watchtower on top of it.
Yep.
I think I read it that there's some aquatic drones.
Yeah, there's an aquatic drone.
We could always get a couple aquatic drones to keep in the rivers to kind of just swim around our section of land.
Speaking of drones, I think I'm going to invest in a drone control unit. Yeah, the cuttlefish, it's the aquatic one. $1,000 credits, they've got 5 fittings.
So which part of the base should we turn into our hangar for the mech and the helicopter? Because once we have an area designated for like our hangar and stuff. I'll probably work on turning that section into a tech level 4 workshop.
You probably use this as the landing field, since it's nice and open and it's already walled in, basically.
The middle section.
Sitting here.
Yeah. Yeah, you have plenty of room to land with no issue.
It's plenty of room and it's already walled in, so that'd be a perfect spot for the landing field.
Yeah, the only difference between that and a proper landing pad is you just basically pave the area, maybe just a little bit of pavement, and then put in lights for landing at night. So that'd probably be one of the cheapest buildings you could put down.
Should we, once we have the mech excavated, should we turn this little section, should we wall this in and make that the workshop? Because wherever we put the workshop should probably be roofed.
Oh, we could.
Take down this wall and build the wall over here, and then split up this large section into like the workshop area and anything else, storage.
No, we could just keep excavating here and just make like an underground hangar for the mechs. Digging, I mean, there's already one mech buried there.
Who knows what else we could dig up?
So, yeah. So who knows? We might be, there might be an entire squadron of mechs that are buried here, and plus an underground bunker or an underground hangar for the mechs would be more secure.
The question is, how are we going to dig out that much terrain?
Well, the guys who built the space were basically just 2 drone operators, and so you could basically purchase some construction drones or hire somebody to do it full time, so that you can do other stuff and come back in 2 months when he's excavated a whole bunch.
I thought about hiring someone to do it, but at the same time, are we comfortable with having other people know what's in the ground out here?
Yep, there's that, and there's also the fact that this place is, it's roughly the same distance from civilization as the place that you're in right now. So 2 days by land, 8 hours by helicopter, and so anyone you leave out here, you won't be able to respond quickly if something bad happens, is the other thing to consider. In other words,
Well, I mean, we're going to have to hire people to work out here anyway if we're going to become, a big mercenary company anyway.
well, yeah, that is inevitable. I was just bringing it up that if you're going to put a drone operator out here, you won't hire like one person. You'll want to have like 5 bodyguards and then some other people, and you'll need to have housing and all that. But that's just something to consider.
Another thing I was going to look into is try to reach out to those mercenaries that we rescued here the first time and see if any of them would want to come work with us.
Yeah, you'd be able to get a hold of them.
We're starting up our own mercenary company. You guys know firsthand what we can do.
And I don't know, just so you're aware of the sort of map features, the where is the ruler? Like the dig site is, it has that marking as a depression, so it's like just
yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah, and then the one over to the left is really deep, about 20 meters down, with a pool of water at the bottom.
We could eventually make that our swimming pool.
Yep.
It's like dig a trench from here, leading here, and just have the river fill it up, and we can get our own swimming pool. plus, if we do an underground hangar for the mechs, it's easier to hide because, it's all underground.
I was going to say, depending on how low or how far down the mech is, we could just excavate around it and never even just take it out of the hole it's in. Once we have enough dug out, we can just start to set up the hangar, move it over, and then just keep excavating once it's on like the concrete or like the solid ground.
Yeah, literally building the you see a giant mech in a small hangar. It's like, what did they build the hangar around this mech? It's like, yeah, that's exactly what they did. All right, and
plus, if we keep it underground, anybody that flies over is just going to see us digging instead of a big ass hangar just sitting out here in the open.
What section were the drones again in the book?
They're on page 80.
We could always just get a drone to keep out on that watchtower. Get a sleeper drone since it has station keeping. Then just have it relay the feed inside of our base.
yeah, I guess the main difference between having a drone and a radar tower basically is the drone would be more susceptible to misdirection or like electronic warfare attacks, whereas the radar tower would probably have like a buried ground cable that went somewhere to make sure it couldn't be wirelessly spoofed or anything like that. But like I said earlier, as long as you're not fighting anyone who knows what they're doing in that regard, you're pretty much set.
We could get suicide drones for 600 credits.
Yeah, I was just looking at
It's 250 credits. A suicide charge is 250 credits.
Yep.
how many drones can you operate at one time?
It's related.
Is it only one?
With a drone control link, I can command one drone plus another drone for every one in programming skill, I think. Let me double check it real quick. Drone control link.
It's the first paragraph under piloting a drone.
Yeah, Link can maintain a connection with one drone at a time, plus the user's program skill. And plus, with a control link, I can look through the piloted drone sensors as an instant action. With that drone I've got with the observation suite on it. Never afford an electro drone. I basically have my own personal assassin. It's got 4 fittings, an AC of 18, 30 hit points, and a 5,000 kilometer range.
Oh, wow.
But a weapon fitting, an ammo unit, sensor transparency, and her observation suite. Get out to kill somebody.
Let me see. Yeah, so... hold on, actually. Let me make sure I got this right. Alright, yeah, so I was just double checking things to make sure I wasn't putting an extra or a fewer 0 in there. Yeah, so this community basically fluctuates between around 30 and 60 people. And they've had a couple of bad months recently, but usually they're able to pull together about 20,000 spare credits per month after paying for expenses. The last 3 months have been less profitable than that, more like 5,000 a month or so. It's also worth noting that they used to grow all their own food, but recently they've transitioned over to growing pharmaceuticals and then buying their food from surrounding settlements. So most of their profits come from the fact that they're basically growing like cash crop type stuff.
They get this place up and running again, and assuming those other mercenaries I was wanting to get in contact with want to come work for us, we could make a deal with this place to have those mercs guard it while they pay us, and that'll give us a steady form of income.
Yep, that's kind of deals you can arrange. All right, and yeah, but in the meantime, was that Pete is helping to fix stuff up. So, and I don't think that'll be a role because most of the stuff you're doing is requires more just time and elbow grease than any sort of over the top knowledge. But yeah, you know that. You hear some of the same information that Simo is able to see just from looking around. You know that the settlement is fairly profitable. They're not really self-sufficient, or as self-sufficient as they used to be. They depend on surrounding homesteader zones, I guess you could call them, and they didn't really have much of an armed guard because they've never had to deal with bandits or anything in this area, and you know that there are a couple people. This zone a long time ago used to be a Catalian province, and so there are still some people here who are sympathetic to the Catalian regime, and there are a couple of people who used to be residents here like a long time ago who have begun moving back to the province from Catalia. Basically, they fled during the war, and then other people came in and built the homesteads here, and then the original residents came back, and so some of those people were basically volunteered once the raiders showed up, and they realized that they were sympathetic towards the Catalian, I guess you could say, terrorist cell. But yeah, that's the kind of surface level information you can get there.
Do I hear any names in particular?
Yeah, well, you do hear them call out specific names of people, but they're in reference to the new initiates, the guys with the fresh scars on their face, most of whom are either dead, or actually all of whom are either dead or have run off into the woods. But yeah, you get a list of just sort of generic names. They know who those people are, since as soon as the raiders showed up, they basically switched sides immediately. Yeah, and also the villagers, you could do any sort of role you want to try and get more in-depth information, but just from a surface level, none of them really know why the raid happened. Some of them claim that it was like an insider thing, because the settlement has been swapping to higher value goods recently, which is kind of risky because obviously if you're just storing food, then you're less likely to have people bother you. But if you're storing really valuable like pharmaceutical organics, and you're building chem labs and stuff like that, then you're sitting on a lot of money that someone can come by and scoop up if they wanted. And so some people kind of wonder if somebody tipped off the raiders that this place was swapping to higher value goods.
Yeah, so Simo's going to go find, I guess, whoever's in charge, or whoever at least is going to stay on and get this place going again. He's going to go find them and basically tell them that place up and going again. Here's our contact info to get a hold of us, and once you've got a general idea of what your profit margin is going to be, we can maybe work out a security deal. Or we can offer you full-time on-site security to make sure this doesn't happen again.
All right. Yeah, you can. There are a couple people. There's not a official or the official leader. The guy who they'd call the mayor before all this was killed before you guys even got here. But there are some people. Once they figure out a leadership position, whoever gets in charge will be able to make a deal like that. And most of the people you talk to seem pretty receptive. The ones who are planning to stay, at any rate, but they'll have to see how many people choose to leave. And they also mention, as mentioned before, there are going to be some people who are going to come back to the settlement who haven't realized what's happened yet, or haven't had time to get back. And they'll decide whether they'll stay or leave as well. All right. So you can. You can go till morning with this sort of thing, because it was a little after midnight when the prisoner was picked up, and so you can spend the next 6 or 7 hours working around the settlement, and you can either continue or swap over to something else, doing something else if you want.
Well, if it's still night, Originally, I was going to stay up with the helicopter, but since Vitali came, I ended up making my way to town. So if we're gonna leave, it might be best to stay till morning when I have light to fly the helicopter down.
Yeah, well, it was.
Or has it been a day since then?
No, it's been like 8 hours since the prisoner was picked up.
Okay, so it is morning now.
Yeah, so it's morning at this point.
I mean, it seems like we found out most of the information we could from these people.
And they've got our contact info. So
I was gonna say, if the majority decide to stay and they want security, they know where to find, or they know how to contact us.
Yep, they can within the next few days if if enough people decide to stay, and the place doesn't become a ghost town, then they'll probably contact you about security.
in that case, I say we collect our first load and head out of here.
Out of curiosity, how much room do they need for their pharmaceutical farming?
Let's see. I think each plot would probably be, within. It doesn't have to be a square, but basically like. Let me see here. So it'd basically be like a 100 by 100 meter plot. Would be like a nice sized. That'd be like a 1,000 credit per month plot. And it can be. So that'll be like 100,000. Or a 10,000 square meter area. Some of their plots are kind of terraced to fit around buildings and stuff like that. But like if you had 10 plots of, then you would basically produce 10,000 credits worth of organic materials per month, not counting for expenses as well.
I was just thinking, if we're gonna level a lot of the hills around our base, if the conditions are right, and a lot of people don't feel safe here, what if we just had them relocate to near our base and have them set up shop near us once it's all leveled?
Yeah, you could definitely do that. It'd be
go expand from military straight into pharmaceuticals as well.
Yeah, I mean the other thing with that, you could have them grow the cash crop, that the 1,000 credits, and you can also have them grow food in order to cut down on expenses later on the road and make it so that you're more self-sufficient as well. And they're already trained to deal with all that.
I'm gonna bring that up with them too. That if enough decide that they don't want to stay here, that maybe we could work out a deal where they could work for us, do what they do, but be almost guaranteed protection in a different location soon.
All right. Yeah, I'll put that down as well. Yeah, they'll still need the rest of they're still going to be using basically the rest of today at least to reorganize, and they still have to get into contact with everyone, and they can respond to both of those offers, which aren't necessarily mutually exclusive either, because some people may leave this settlement and go to your settlement, and some people may stay here. So you'll just have to see on that note. All right. So yeah, unless there's something else you want, it would, if you started transporting the goods in morning, it takes you 8 hours to get to the city. You could drop off both loads. Your helicopter can safely carry 1 ton at a time, and you can drop off both of them within 1 day, basically, if you started at dawn.
So we'll take this load back he could leave me at the city while he comes back to pick up the last load. While he's doing that, I can reach out to those other mercs and get in contact with them and see if any of them want to come work with us.
Right. Let me see here. Yep. So, out of the 5 mercs you rescued, 2 of them seem interested in joining, and they'll join at a discount as well. All right. Yeah. So each of these mercs will work for around, let's see, somewhere in the area of 18 credits per day after discount. And they basically have body armor and auto rifles, and they know how to use them and all that.
What kind of body armor?
Let me see.
If it's not as good as those combat field uniforms, I can fix up the rest. If we have a name, if we come up with a logo, we can make logo patches for the forum as well, and we could have sort of uniforms for the people stationed on base for the combat field uniform.
Yeah, the combat field uniforms would be an upgrade. They're wearing security armor right now, which is an AC-14.
Yeah, I've got 3 of them for personal use, or 3 that I fixed up for personal use. So we've got 11 still. So if I just fix up the rest, then we have better armor for people who sign on to work for us.
Alright, so this thing should have popped up on your screen, and this is just another tab that I've added. You said you were... I just wrote the security armor down just now, but you can of course upgrade that if you wanted. And the +2 professional basically just means that anything that directly relates to the person's profession, in this case it would be like shooting, that'll be done at a +2 bonus. All right.
Since we're technically a company now, can we buy things then write them off as business expenses?
Yeah, I mean, that'd probably be where the lawyer.
Well, I guess we need to hire an accountant now.
Yep.
Our taxes a thing. How deep does the rabbit hole go?
Yeah. Luckily, the area you live in right now is run by guys who aren't so keen on taxes. But if you moved into an area where a little bit more bureaucratic, then that might be a serious issue.
Yeah, we could ask our lawyers, like, hey, you know a good accountant?
Yep. Yeah, so on the morning after the town was freed up and you spent, the rest of the night helping them to get back on their feet, you wanted to move all the organic compounds into town, basically? Were you planning to go ahead and sell them, or were you wanting to store them somewhere?
I'd say we try to sell them as soon as possible.
Yeah, we don't want to risk having any go bad, cut into the profit.
Yeah, I already rolled for them earlier, and the current market for them is it's not it's it's a little bit down, but it's your let me see here.
Could we potentially go to different towns to sell? Would the market be different in a different location? Or is the market more regional based than city to city?
Yeah, you'd have to fly quite a ways. This is the part of why I wanted to finish the world map, but I haven't had time to perfect it yet. But yeah, you could. It would take you a while to fly to the next city, but you could potentially do it. Your 20,000 is the base price, although they can sell for as high as 30,000 if the market's doing really good this month, or in your favor this month. Right now, they're selling for 15,000, which is 5,000 less than the average price. So you can hang on to them for a month, or you can try to, send them somewhere else, or sell them somewhere else.
I say we go ahead and sell them.
Yeah, I'm fine with just selling them too.
All right, you can mark down 15,000 wherever you want to keep track of that.
Plus the 12,000 we got from Starkov, right?
Yep.
How many credits do you have on you?
I've got 10,000.
Just over 40 on me.
I mean, I've only got so little because the helicopter was 45k.
If you want, you could split the credits we got from Tarkov and then set the 15,000 from the sale of the organic stuff aside as, a company fund.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. It's not like it's going to be, if it gets company fund, it's basically just going to be buying us stuff we need anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, but if we set up like a company fund, we can pay our personnel out of that and then buy the goodies out of ours. Run the risk of buying a big expensive fucking cybernetic implant and then payroll comes around next month and we ain't got enough to pay our new guys.
Yeah, always good to have a little bit of a cushion.
Some credits into the. I guess we can put it in the ledger folder. That'll be the company fund.
Alright, so, wait, let me check the calendar again. Yeah, so the 7th, the battle took place and the organic compounds were moved, and now we're basically, we're on the 8th. And I have gone ahead, I randomly rolled the dates for events to happen in the world, and so I've updated the news if you want to take a look.
Oh, there's more information on the January 1st one too now.
Yeah, some of them, if you don't, some of them will progress without, doing any research. More things will just become public knowledge anyway.
Suit class mechs may choose to take an attack's damage against their own hit points after it is rolled. Why in the hell would you want to take the damage on yourself?
Wait, what was that?
I was reading in the mechs. Pilots of suit class mechs may choose to take an attack's damage against their own hit points after it is rolled.
I mean, depending on the damage taken, it could either destroy the mech or just hurt you a little bit. And getting hurt a little bit might be cheaper than having to fully repair or replace a suit.
Yeah, I was reading through their mech supplement earlier because those like the little things you see from the table of contents where it's like space magic and mechs and all that stuff. Those are like little supplements that have been designed, but I have to read through the mech thing more because it looks like it's kind of stapled on, like stapled and scotch taped onto the side of the main system. Like the movement, for example, they basically don't have like combat movement for mechs, and they say, well, if you have to move a mech during combat, then have it like 10 meters for a small mech and 20 meters for a big mech, you know, and is normal movement, and yeah, it's kind of weird, and I feel like I could just kind of sketch up a better system in an afternoon if I just sat down and thought about it for a second. But I already have ideas of the mech that's buried in the ground and a few other mech designs. I've already been toying with those, and I think it'll be interesting to see where that'll go. But yeah, on the morning of the 8th, you have, of course, you still have the Dena Forte lead. You have your base to manage. You're waiting to hear back from the people of the Homesteader zone that you just liberated, and you also have any news stories that you want to keep track of. And you also have the option of just waiting and seeing what happens.
Sit around and watch the news and see what the news has to say to our little adventure.
Yeah. All right. So you got anything that you were wanting to do in the meantime, Traffic?
At this point, are we done selling the pharmaceuticals and back at base now, or?
Oh, you're done. Yeah, you'd be done selling the pharmaceuticals, and you'd have basically finished sleeping, and you'd be in the city. Rather, you guys haven't been out to your base ever since you acquired the base, basically.
I might pick up some drones as well as the equipment needed for it to operate it. Well, I guess that comes with it. So I guess I'll just get a drone so that way when we're in base I can use it to try and work on leveling some of the hills.
Yeah.
Get an idea of how long doing that'll take if I were to do it myself.
Yeah, I'd have to do some measurements, but it might take a little while. If you're looking for, like an Earth mover type drone, would probably cost somewhere no more than $20,000, which is 20,000 credits, which is like a grav car equivalent. And then like an excavator, that would probably cost somewhere between 15 and 20,000. The two of them together, you could basically deal with any land leveling issues pretty easily.
If we make that big of a commitment, what if we just made like the actual base all underground and just have have the base up top be like a facade. I'm sure it would have the helipad and stuff, but then have like in one of the houses like a secret elevator that goes down into the normal base.
Like a Resident Evil base.
Exactly. We'd have the equipment to basically hollow out and build whatever we want underground, so we could just keep up top, make it look like it's just like a outpost. Meanwhile, all the important stuff is going on down there.
Yeah, the for tunneling and all that, you could get boring equipment and pretty much just build whatever structure you can imagine at that point. But yeah, I mean, all that you're in a space age tech civilization, so all that stuff is within possibility. Oh, should have moved us back to town to make things less confusing. But yeah, so if you're basically shopping for drones, which you may have to put in orders and wait 2 days for them to be shipped in. So there's that to consider as well. Normal construction equipment probably wouldn't need to be shipped in, but you'd have to have people drive that around. But yeah, so let's see. By the afternoon of the 8th, you hear back from the villagers. Let me see here. Alright, so you have 12 farmers that express an interest in coming to build on whatever land you have offered, or at least coming to look at it. They have to get an idea of what they can plant there and everything like that, and what kind of facilities they have to work with. But they have expressed an interest in coming to work, and they'd basically, each of them would be paid like 10 credits, or they'd require like 10 credits a day of pay, assuming that they have proper shelter and all that stuff, which you're already paying for with your base at the moment anyway, as far as like maintenance goes. So it'd basically just be to hire on all of them would be like 120 credits, and you'd have 12 farmers. And bear in mind, these farmers, these are like Tech 3/Tech 4 farmers, so they're skilled in biochemistry and rendering different organic elements out of the stuff that they grow, in addition to just growing food.
So I brought this up when we were in town with them, but what was Simo's reaction to it? Are you fine with it too, or
was it?
What did Simo think of me offering the farmers to take shelter in our base and basically farm?
Oh yeah. He's fine with it.
Yeah, I mean, you can surround your base with large fields of low-growing fungus, and then you don't have to pay somebody to Agent Orange the map for you.
One thing I was thinking, unless you really wanted to keep that one pit as a pool, the one hill to the east of it, we could just push that hill basically into the pit, and it would, for the most part, level the hill and fill up the pit in one go.
True. The only hill I really want to keep is the big one to put the watchtower on.
The one
big one I was on top of when I was sniping.
Okay, yeah. So we could flatten that one near the base as well as the one that's got the 60-meter point.
Yeah. Well, actually, that one's only 30 meters. We could keep the 60 meter one and put the watchtower on top of it, and then just level this one, level all this, and have that as our growing area. This here's leveled. We basically have like 570 meters by
Or we could do like the 500 by like 300 to allow room for like equipment and vehicles and stuff to get around it without having to actually go through the crops directly in some cases.
yeah.
This little green square that I have right here is that's basically like a large field of this fungus stuff, like 1,000 credits a month field, and so that kind of gives you a size reference, I think.
You can basically just from here to here, you could put in 6 of them.
And we could do like 2 rows, have another row to the right of it.
Yeah, that'd give us 12 plots. So it'd give us 12 plots. That's 12,000 a month.
Farmers that potentially want to work for us, they each could have their own plot to take care of.
In town or in the city, I'm going to go to whatever or use whatever see is there and basically offer 4 positions for experienced military personnel to join the startup mercenary company. That'll give us even 6, counting the 2 that joined with us from the other group. We've got enough equipment to equip them right off the bat.
Just out of curiosity, with the amount of terrain that this is going to be to get rid of, do we want to push some of that into this like pond and river to get rid of it?
Keep that one because it'll miss the plot going up that way. And plus, if we ever invest in cuttlefish drones, that can be their little staging area or housing area or whatever.
Yeah, there is. There'll be, if you first of all you'd have to build somewhere where you can irrigate this. This area is of course fine. The area where you already have the plot, because they'll just pull water right out of the river and irrigate, and then they'll probably put some silos and stuff like that to hold the different items that they need. But yeah. I think almost all of the structures you have are pretty much empty, except for the longer one, which has some cabinets of stuff in it. But so you have lots of empty space to work with from the beginning.
This place up here for the farmers, make that their little housing area. Helipad here. And then these buildings we can use for our mercenary employees, their housing, until we can get a proper barracks built. Then we just level all this shit, build a watchtower up here. And then we pretend to be dwarves and diggy diggy ho.
Yep. Alright, yeah, I was just checking stuff in the books. So, yeah, the other thing you get, the farmers who stay on their own plot, they are willing to negotiate a mercenary contract with you. You know, they're considering your company along with a few others. So you can either, go on the line with them and negotiate yourself, or you could have your attorney do it, or you could hire a negotiator to work for you.
Well, since would basically be hammering out a contract, we should probably have the lawyer present.
Yeah, 'cause I don't think either of us would be well equipped to handle negotiations at the moment.
Yeah, well, this is, and I already added the on the deals tab to the enterprise management thing. And this is the situation where a lawyer is pretty handy, because if you accept the contract and then like an army of 2,000 guys shows up and wipes out the settlement, then the lawyer would be the one arguing like, hey, there was nothing we could do about this, it wasn't in the contract, that sort of thing. But it's also good just to get good terms on the deal in general. So yeah, the lawyer will be present. You want him to do the negotiating on your behalf, basically. Like, in addition to overseeing it legally, you want him to argue for prices and better deal and all that. He'd have a place too. Okay, cool. Yeah, just making sure. Alright, yeah, Zaravas got a pretty good roll on that one. Yep, so they determine the median income of the median profit, rather, of the settlement is around 7,000. That's what you can reasonably expect them to make. And so the deal you get is basically get a flat $4,000 credits per month, in addition to 10% of whatever profits exceed their median. So if they have like a big bumper crop, or if they make more, significantly more money, then you get a cut of that as well.
Nice.
Out of curiosity, how many plots of land were they farming?
Let me check real quick. They have 52 plots on this particular community, bearing in mind that some of those plots are also growing food and other pharmaceuticals. Yeah, I still have to figure out how much you guys will be, because you make 1,000 credits basically from selling a month's worth of produce, but I still have to figure out exactly how much it'll cost you to produce, how much to actually grow the stuff with fertilizer and all that, because obviously you won't have to pay for your own water, so you'll make some money there. But right now you'll need to probably pay for biofuel until you get some other way of generating power and all that. So I'll have to hammer out the specifics of that between sessions. In their case, their community is run on biofuel, so they lose some money from that, and they also have to pay for other like costs of living. So they're not getting the full 1,000 from their bumper crop, but they are doing better than they've done in the past recently. Okay, yeah. So I think this is this. I had to figure out how the other half of the contract would be configured with your lawyer's really good role, because it was originally going to be a little bit more harsh, but he managed to talk you out of some of the obligations. So basically, they're paying you. The community is paying you flat 4,000 credits per month, plus 10% of any money any of their profits that exceeds 7,000. And then, in exchange, you're basically offering them 24-hour protection and surveillance. Any threat will have a 10-minute reaction time, and you are not offering any police services. And so, if you don't have to pay people to, walk around and what is it? Like,
Right back. I gotta use the bathroom real quick.
all right, cool. But yeah, I have it down in ongoing deals. I'll reformat it, but I got the text down.
How far away, out of curiosity, is our base from their town?
I'll have to finish the regional map before I can be absolutely sure, but it will be it'll be between let's see, it would be somewhere between 8 and 16 hours by helicopter. No, definitely no more than 16 hours.
By 10-minute reaction time, do they mean like us acknowledging they need help within 10 minutes? Or like us actually doing something about it, like engaging whatever is causing the issue?
Yeah, so that would be like your mercenary group. You could, wherever you station them in the town that you're protecting, if the town calls for help, then
I'm back.
yeah, welcome back. Yeah, if the town, what it basically just means is if the town calls for help, then you need to be able to do something about it within 10 minutes. And the easiest way to do that, of course, is to just station people in the town and have them work in shifts so that there's always someone awake and ready to go and do something about the threat. You wouldn't be able to, for example, have people in a helicopter 200 kilometers away or something like that. That wouldn't be able to protect the town from any emergent threat.
Yeah, kind of what I was wanting to do with that is like get these the two mercenaries that we already have. Open a position for 4 more. That'll give us 6, and then we can station 3 mercenaries at the town and 3 mercenaries here, and then just rotate them out every week.
Should we do it where we have at least one of the ones away is one of the ones loyal to us? Have them be like the supervisor.
Yeah, we can have one there, one here, and we just rotate them out every week.
And obviously they can contact us when it happens as well. Or our people can contact our base. If it sounds like shit's really about to hit the fan, then we can hop in the helicopter and beeline there as fast as we can.
Yeah, basically I've reformatted the contract to make it look a little bit prettier. But yeah, originally you guys were would offer like police service, anything like this, where the security forces also deal with petty theft and stuff like that, disputes between the population, and that adds a whole complication to this whole thing, because then you have to make sure that you have the same problem that any police organization has, where you have mercenaries that drop the ball and screw up and all that, so your lawyer will have to get you out of messes there. But you guys aren't doing that, so really all you need to do is build a small fort somewhere, and by fort I mean like a pile of dirt to keep you from getting shot, and some tents at least, something like that, and they'll be able to at least resist any emergent threat. And if it's really bad, they can call for help, and like Traffic said, you can beeline over there in a helicopter with reinforcements. And also you have air support you can call in now if you really have to. Alright, other than the contract, was there anything where you wanted to buy any drones or anything like that, Traffic?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind having a... Because I'm assuming it will... I might get... I mean, I guess it all depends. I was going to say we should get those 2 hills leveled as soon as possible. So that way, if the farmers do decide to come work for us, they can start working as soon as possible. The sooner they start working, the sooner they start paying for themselves. But to get those cleared fastest, we would probably need to hire someone to level those 2. And I was thinking maybe I would get a drone and do that small one by the base myself to get an idea of how long something like excavating by myself would take before committing to like a big ticket purchase, like a excavator or something like that.
I'm going to go ahead and order a drone control unit.
All right. Yeah, I just did the math as well. In case you weren't aware, renting... It doesn't actually say this anywhere in the books, but I discovered this myself after I noticed they were using the same formula for all the rental stuff in the book. And it appears that all of the vehicles are rented for 1% of the vehicle's worth. And so the excavator and earth mover, so that would be like a crane type vehicle to pick up dirt and rocks and all that, and then a big truck to carry it around and dump it wherever you need it and to smooth stuff out. That sort of landscaping suite, that's like 35,000. To rent it for a day is 350 credits. And so now I just have to figure out how long you need to rent it, if that's the case.
Spent 30,000 credits on my implant.
Drone control thing.
Yeah, drone control unit.
That was pricey. I didn't think it was going to cost that much.
It's 20,000 base, but since it's T4 at 50%.
Yeah, I think because I've just been doing some quick math to get a ballpark estimate. I think if you with 3 days, which would cost, I think, 1,050 credits, renting those drones. Since they're automated, they would be working around the clock. And I think in the middle of the, basically like at 2.5 days, basically, you could have basically both of those hills and the depression completely smoothed out.
By renting them, are other people coming and using them, or are we doing it ourselves?
No, the rental, so a couple of things to consider. The rental doesn't come with a pilot, but you can hire a pilot separately if you want someone who can do it a lot faster. Someone who can like really optimize the digging. The other thing to consider is that you're building in a very remote location, and this is heavy machinery that can't be flown in with a helicopter. So you'd have to rent it for a few more days because your 2 days travel by boat. So those are some other things to consider. Still much cheaper than buying an excavator.
I mean, later down the line, to build our underground bunker, we're basically gonna need an excavator, though.
Yeah, one thing you could do rather than renting or doing any of this is you could basically have the farmers, like where we have the 2 squares now, they can just start building their farms, and it'll take them a while to get all that in order. And then by the time they're like working on the second or third farm, by then maybe you'll have more money and you can go ahead and just buy an excavator suite.
Said it was $350 a day, right?
Yeah, $350 a day to rent it.
So it would be for a week just under 2,500 credits, which is most likely what we would need. I think I might just rent it. There's not much I want to buy right now. So for the most part, I'll just save my money and I'll just rent those and just clear it now. Rent those for a week. I'm still going to buy my own, like, what kind of drone would I need to dig? I'm assuming I can't just use a crude drone or a primitive.
Oh yeah, these excavator things are they're like what do you call it? Like cat and caterpillar, like big construction equipment we have today, but in drone form. I was estimating the price based on the vehicles they have in the book. So yeah, those are like the big construction drones. You don't need those in order to landscape. You already have like some digging hand tools, and you could probably buy like a what would you call it, a consumer version of those items for half the price, but they'd just be a little bit slower and more limited is all. So like and this earth mover thing that I've been mentioning is basically a drone controlled gigantic like dump truck pretty much, but and that costs 20,000 credits. But for 10,000 credits, you could probably get a like a large heavy-duty pickup truck that'll, that's all-terrain and will work in this environment. And similarly, you could spend 15,000 on an excavator, or for half the price, you could get like a tractor with a backhoe, basically.
Maybe it would be best just to have them set up too and wait to level those. Because I was thinking too is, if we buy them, we can use them whenever we want, and then later down the line, that could be a service. We could do like another small like offshoot company that does excavation or land moving, and we could just use our own equipment to offer that as a service to people as well.
Yeah, I mean, you buy like excavator equipment to build your base, and then when you don't have any more excavating to do, you could just start off an engineering corps in your personnel. All right, I put the farmers down in the personnel thing so I don't forget. Yeah, so on the 8th, you imported some new gear, negotiated the contract, and then hired on the 12 farmers and 2 mercenaries. And yep, that's a pretty full day. But,
So it's, what, 152 credits a day for our current staff?
yep, that seems to be the case. That's 152, basically just in wages as well. So if if you're gonna have them live way out in the middle of nowhere, then you may have to pay a little bit extra per month in maintenance and all that. But I'll figure out exactly how much that is. It's not going to be more than their wages, certainly. And I'll update the ledger with this stuff to make it easier to keep track of later. I'll add in personnel and all that. If you look in ledger and you see lifestyle, the reason that's at 600, it's not actually going to deduct yet. I'm still deciding how I want to work with that. But basically, poor lifestyle, which is the what it costs to live in the town that you're in right now. In fact, it's 10 per day, and both of you are living there, and so it's technically was it 300 for each of you for a month. But I'm still working out exactly how I want to do that. For example, what I may do is have it at the beginning of every month. It just starts at 0, and anytime you stay in a town, it just it accrues by day to your lifestyle. So I think I may do it like that in the future. But anyway, yeah, I'll add this on to give you an idea of the costs. And of course, these deals that you get going will definitely help to pad out expenses at the end of the month, I think. All right. Well, I think this is a good spot to end it. We can begin the next session with basically finding work and maybe doing renovations on the base, depending on what you guys are up for. And so we can call it for tonight, I think.
Yep, sounds good.
All right. Well, I'll see you guys next week, and thanks for the game.
See ya.